This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Gone in the 8-week cycle with Ben Souders and kind of the focus that you guys have had.
Or at the very end of that, I think you're asking about the off season with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
He's brought a lot of enthusiasm along with his assistants, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. It's been hard now. I mean, we've got to get better, obviously every year, but we needed this spring, this winter conditioning. It's been tough. The kids have worked extremely hard. Ben and his group are so positive, energetic, along with the other, new guys I've hired, Trey, and I think it's went real well. We've had a few injuries, but nothing too severe. But they've worked extremely hard.
I wonder if you could tell me anything about Jaheim Singletary.
Well, I can now because he's signed his SEC agreement with us. He was here on his OV this Sunday, Monday, and left this morning, and we were very fortunate that he. You'll have to talk to him, Trey, but I can talk about him since he signed his SEC agreement with us. We're excited about him. I mean, big time player out of Georgia.
Don?
Hey, Sam, last we talked to you on Travis Williams, you were just like, he's going to be aggressive. But I'm wondering, like, between then and now, you have any further ideas or stuff you can share in terms of what you think he'll bring defensively, maybe the schematic that's different?
I think the biggest thing, we're going to have 4 bigs on the field, on the D line. I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted. Sometimes we weren't able to do that because just of personnel, but I think we're set up better for that now. Right now, he has installed through our walks, field and boundary blitzes, things of that nature. We haven't got too extreme, but we are running multiple fronts and things of that nature with movement, and I think what he does will fit our personnel very, 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 very well.
Okay, and this is kind of a long question, but it has to do with personnel. I think you've got 22 new guys on the roster for the spring, in addition to walk-ons and stuff. But just all the changes have taken place since you've become a head coach, and I'm wondering, managing that, how's it gone? And then you had one of the higher numbers of players enter the portal. So is there anything you can put your finger on in your exit interviews or what have you that has led to the roster transition you guys have undergone?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I think some guys come in and they see that they're not going to be able to play. Maybe they have been over recruited or have gotten a spot to where they don't want to wait 2 or 3 years to get on the field, or they don't want to compete for 2 or 3 years to get on the field. And those are guys you understand a little bit more. And then the other ones are guys that, for whatever reason, whether it be NIL, playing time, then they just, or somebody, poaches them from your roster. Those are a different story. I mean, so I can't tell you, Tom, that there aren't some guys that go in the portal where you're, okay, I understand it. And then there's some that don't, and you can't be both ways. You have to be happy for the young man that made the decision. I think, to be honest with you, I think it's pretty well known. I thought we needed a change, and strength wise, I thought we needed to do some different things, and that's not negative against anybody at all. It's just sometimes change is good, and I think these new coaches, what we learned from it, I guess, in the bottom line is we needed to communicate with our kids more often. We need to see them in settings other than just football, which we've done, and try to foster a relationship with these guys more than just on the field. I think we'll have guys enter the portal, and other teams will as through the years. Certainly hope that it's not as many. You know, as of right now, we still have 8 scholarships left, and you talked about the 22 and 8, which equals 30. You know, because we have 8 that's not here, and then had 9 scholarships up. So we could, if we were able to sign 8 more, we'd have 39 changes, along with 5 or 6 coaches, and that's a lot of change. But they do give you time, and the way the rules are now, you can certainly get out with the kids and see your coaches coaching them in these walks and things of that nature that we're doing. So I think we'll be fine. As you well know, we had a fall season with first time head coach and no practice too. So I think we'll be fine. I'm really excited of where we are right now as far as relationship building with our kids.
Okay, and then the new coaches, this big year for you, I guess, in the trajectory of the program. How do you think the new assistant coaches have fit in with what your ideals are?
They're very, very, very loyal, hard workers, great recruiters. And basically, once we make a decision in there, that's exactly what, to the T, exactly what we're going to do. And that's been on both sides of the ball with all of our new coaches, and including our strength coach. So, I feel like at this point, and I don't see it going any other direction, I feel like we've really hit a home run with our hires.
Otis.
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned the injuries a while ago. I'm not going to ask you to list everybody that's hurt, but is there some players that won't be able to participate this spring?
Yeah,
Completely.
and to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'd like to. I love the question. I'd like to stay specifically about specific injuries. You guys will see them out there, but yes, there'll be some guys that miss part of spring. There'll be some that will miss all of spring, and you'll see them out there when you get to practice. But some of them, the medicine treatments and things have come a long way. We've had some cartilage injuries that are repairable, and back in the old days, they were trims, and repairable will take you 5-6 months to get back fully healthy. And so there's been some injuries like that. We'll have a few class schedule problems depending on certain days, because our class schedules are set up for Tuesday, Thursday for practice. And, early, as you all know, we're going to practice on a Friday, and we may have a few guys come in late and things of that nature, but not a high amount of injuries from the offseason, but we've had a few.
Rocket Sanders and Tykees Crawford specifically left the game in the first quarter, I believe, the Liberty Bowl. I know Tykees left during the first series on the field goal. What's their status, Coach?
They'll both be able to go, and they're healthy. And man, both of them have had a really good offseason. I think our whole team has. And you guys usually ask me about some specifics or who stood out, and Jaden Wilson has been unbelievable out there. But Rocket, to answer your question, Rocket and Tykees have done really well.
Tykees going to be a guard or a tackle, Coach? That's my last question.
I think that's the beauty of spring, is to really try to find out where your 5 pieces, if assuming he's going to start for us and things of that nature, where they go. And then obviously if he was a 6th or 7th man, could he play 2? Is he a 6th, 7th on the right? That's an exciting thing about spring is trying to figure out with injuries, or who's your top 5 and where should they play? And if you had an injury, who would be your next guy or 2 in there, and where would they play? It's really exciting. But I think, to be honest with you, I think we still have to find out where he would do it. We got Braun came in, Kudas, some of the Harris, Chambly, those guys. We've really got to figure out what our best 5 is and what positions they need to play. But he would have a chance to play both of them, Otis.
Thank you.
Got it.
Yeah, Coach, Torian Carter tweeted last week that he's been cleared How was his recovery, and maybe what are you expecting from him the next several weeks? Like, is he going to be a guy that kind of eases into it, or is he full go?
I think we've been told to watch him, watch if there's any swelling on his knees and things of that on his knee and things of that nature. But to be perfectly honest with you, he got cleared. We'll be smart with him and those things. But I thought at the end of last spring, I thought he was as good a defensive interior lineman as we had. And really, it's almost like getting him out of the portal, because he didn't play last year. Day didn't, and he's back. Dominic Johnson will be back, by the fall. But Torian's very, very strong, worked extremely hard and got cleared, and we expect him to have a really good spring. We will watch him to the fact we might limit him a little bit in reps early. We'll have to wait and see.
And then with your tight ends, kind of what's your impression of that group right now, and what do you want to see from them, I guess, in the next few
Well, I
weeks?
think Bax has stepped up. Bax is moving better. Tyrus Washington has really had a good obviously working his tail off, working extremely hard. The two Has brothers, and I know Dylan's not a tight end, but Luke are two of the hardest working kids you'll ever see. As a matter of fact, I called their mama last night to tell them that, because they are hard working, no nonsense kids. So I think Luke will help us. You asked specifically about tight end. I think Dylan will too, but you asked about tight ends, and that would be probably those five guys right now. Obviously, waiting on Shamar Easter to get here in late May, early June.
Tom. Oh, hey, yeah. So this is the routine question about who looked good in the winter conditioning. You mentioned Jaden Wilson, and there's got to be a bunch of other guys that you like.
Well, there really is. And so, if you look at the tight end position, and they're all Tyrus, I talked about Tyrus and Bax and Luke. I tell you, that group, we're going to play more of them. So we need more of them. And Shamar's going to have to come in here ready to go. On the O-line, you have your vets, and then Kudus it looks really good. I mean, he's gotten big, strong, can move. Amarian and Chambly both have looked really good, and our transfer Braun has looked good, and along with the older guys. And then quarterback, they've all done really a good job. Obviously, KJ will stick out there a little bit, and then Criswell can run. He's got an arm, but he can run, and I'm excited about that. Running back wise, they've all three played. They all three are doing exceptional. Now at the wideout position, that's a little bit different story there. Obviously, we haven't been throwing and catching and all that kind of stuff, but if you look at Jaden Wilson would be Bryce Stevens, those guys, the guys Baque, Satagna, the guys that you think would be there, they are. And then I think we hit the jackpot with the three transfers we got. Not again, they haven't caught balls, but I'm talking about work ethic and ability with Teslaw and Broden and Armstrong. I think all three of them are going to help us, and then on defense, the old Landon Jackson's really looked good. He would be the first one that Nico's getting bigger, looking good. And then at linebacker, Greer's come in looking good. Paul Crook. I love the freshman group, those young guys, with Spence and I'm missing Dean. Dean's really looked good too. In the secondary, I think the young kids, Braxton and Metcalf and RJ Johnson, those three guys I think are hits. Dallas Young is doing a good job as well, but Jalen Lewis is a guy that shows out in drills, and just a lot of guys. I said too many as it is, but I think I'll tell you this: they're buying into what we're selling, and they're straining and doing a really good job. I love the 12 freshmen that we have on campus from this class. They're never in trouble. They work hard. They're good citizens, good students, And I think that class, as long as we can keep them together, it's going to be a really special class for us.
Yeah, speaking of jackpots, which you mentioned a minute ago, Quincy McAdoo, I think, might have been one of the bigger jackpots that you hit just with his emergence. Is spring a good time to say, hey, we're going to give you a small package on offense, or what's the ruling there?
Exactly what we talked to him about. I think we've had extensive conversations about him on offense, him on defense. With the emergence of the new staff, I think he's more comfortable staying where he was. I think there might have been a point where he might want to move to offense, but he's going to stay on defense because I think he feels like he can help the team, help himself more over there. We have talked to him about a third down package, and I've talked to our staff about that. There's two things there. One, he has to do it. It's going to be extra work on him, which he's willing to do that. And the other thing is he has to be one of our top three receivers or top four to get on the field. And as long as that happens, then certainly we are going to look at it because I told him we would.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then finally, you mentioned, I think a minute ago on tight ends, you said we're going to need more. So does that mean, like, what tweaks have you seen for what Dan's going to implement, like where tight ends be a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, we can be in 12, we can be in 13, things that we never even dreamt about over the last 3 years. So the tight end recruiting, which we feel like we've done a really good job this year, and the two that we've signed. But is there a place for a portal guy? Possibly. I don't know. I really like who's in there. But at the same time, I think we've got to make sure that by when the portal opens back up that we're ready to go with. Luke would be the guy that is the question mark because, we know what Tyrus is going to be able to do and what Back's going to be able to do. And if we feel like we've got enough tight ends to function, then we would stay out of the portal. If not, just numbers alone, we would go in and try to see if we can find somebody.
Right.
Hey, Coach, with KJ having been in a system for the last 3 years, a certain offensive system, do you guys just like start over from scratch in terms of everything, terminology and playbook and all that stuff? Or is there like a marriage of the old and the new, or how does that work?
As you well know, Trey, I've had so many jobs. And so the terminology of calls, of line calls and things of that nature, the ones that the kids make, those would be not a whole lot of change there. The terminology of the play calls and the things of that nature, a lot of change. Dan, that was one of the things Dan asked me when I spoke with him. He said, "Hey, what do you think? Do I need to marry my stuff to the last 3 years?" Or I said, "Oh, hell no, it's not. It won't roll off your tongue. You won't, if you're having to remember what to call it versus, hey, this is my offense. I know what it is." And we have nowadays, Trey, it's so different and it's both sides of the ball, defense as well. Nowadays you have so many walks, so much more meeting time than you had before that I believe that certainly for spring ball. And then I believe you can bring in these 8 guys and any transfer like Jaheim's coming in, in June. I believe that you can get a kid ready a lot easier now in the rules that they're giving us than you ever could. So they're going to keep what their terminology is as far as that goes. And our kids will have to learn it, which they've not seemed to have a problem with it on either side of the ball.
Not anointing anybody as a starter or anything, but it looks like you've added some nice additions in the secondary, and you got a couple of cornerbacks returning. That might be a better question for Marcus Woodson, but how do you see that working out where you get the best 5 DBs out on the field?
Again, I think that's what spring's for. I think the number one thing we have to do is come out of spring is know who our 5 best players are, not who our best safety is. If our second team corner is the best safety, then he needs to move back. We have to come out with who's the 5 best players on our football team and where we need to put them. That's the first thing. And we just, ironically, right before we started this Zoom, Darren and Marcus both were in here, and we were talking exactly that, because we just recently got the commitment from Jaheim, and we're going, well, where are we going to? By the way, you can't ever have too many good players, but Wood and Wilson came in here, and they've made a big, strong effort, knowing that we needed some help, and knowing we had some good players as well. But I think the biggest thing we have to do is find out the 5 best we have. And so there will be, so you guys at practice, there will be a lot of different looks this spring of who's starting, who's playing field safety, boundary safety, corner, left tackle, right tackle. We don't have to say, here's our lineup until probably sometime in the summer, to be perfectly honest with you. We just want them to play and learn the game and learn the system. And then we'll kind of figure out where to piece them together with after that.
I don't know if you had an unwritten rule, but it seems like you've always in the past, when you've added transfers, you kind of start them out on the third team versus, just roll them out there, even though you got guys that start. You got 22 new players. Is that an unwritten rule, first of all? And secondly, is it practical to do with so much turnover?
To be perfectly honest with you, I made a mistake last year. And I believe that anybody that's new, they need to earn a spot. Even if the whole team knows that they're going to be the starter, you got to put them on a second, third team somewhere in there. And last year, we did not do that with Hazelwood. Hazelwood came in. He was the only one. He came in and he was a starter. And you know what? If we'd have waited a practice or two, he'd have been the starter anyway, but we didn't. And so, yes, your depth chart will look hopefully different from the beginning of spring ball to the end or the spring game.
Thanks, Coach.
Tom, wrap us up. Defensive line, how different will it look? And what do you think of the new guys the transfers you got in there on the D line?
Yeah, I like our transfers. And again, I like their work ethic. That's the biggest thing you're concerned about in the portal is A, why, and B, are they willing to work? And so certainly we've seen that they will do that. We're looking at the biggest thing I want to find out, to be honest with you, Tom, is who's going to be that buck linebacker, that boundary stand-up in our system. And he's also got to be a guy that can play down. What I wanted when T. Will came in is I want a 4D lineman, and even if we were in an odd package, I want the 4th D lineman on the field. And that should be your dominant pass rusher and all that. And so I think that's the biggest thing we need to find out, to be perfectly honest with you, in the spring, is who's that position? Who's that weak side defensive end position? And we've been looking at several of them. I think Nico Davier is doing a good job there. Landon Jackson has really done a good job there. And of course, we recruited John Morgan kind of in that role. So we'll see what happens. But I think we have that person or people on our team that can play that spot. I think that's the biggest question mark probably coming out of going into spring ball, is who that guy's going to be, because I'm pretty comfortable with the rest of the guys.
And further, your depth at defensive tackle with Torian back, the way Cam Ball emerged, you feel a little bit better about depth?
Man, you do. Again, like we talk about TC, it's like going and getting a guy out of the portal since he wasn't here, and knowing that he can play and knowing he understands who we are and things of that nature. And that certainly helps. Eric has gotten big enough now where we could throw him back inside as well. And I think Eric will be a multiple end and inside guy like he was last year. And certainly that would be a position that we might need to continue to add to, through the portal. Again, nothing negative towards the guys we have. That one, Sarah's a little light in depth, but not certainly talent, but in depth.
What have you made of the communication between Dan Enos and KJ so far? Because that'll go such a long way in how your team plays this year,
I think KJ, Tom, you'll ask him and he'll have a better answer, but I think KJ and Tom that KJ and Dan have a really good relationship. I think KJ believes that Dan can coach him to be not only a better quarterback at Arkansas, but a better opportunity in the National Football League by understanding pro type checks and schemes and things of that nature. And I think certainly KJ's bought into that. I think they've got a really nice relationship. I knew they would, but you got to work on those.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting this season. Everything from the NFL and bowl season to esports. You'll find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. We're the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite leagues and events. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.